Happy Halloween, everyone! Hope you're having a good time at whatever you're doing today. We have a spooky story to read today, and it is called Bloodline. The story was made by Mother Nud and I, so I hope you enjoy. Reese is homeschooled. He rarely ever leaves the house. He could not go out because he was a very sick child. Going outside was very dangerous because of his condition. His mother told him he had an allergy to the sun, so when he did leave the house, it was well after dark on very cloudy days. So he stayed home to learn from his mother and very carefully selected tutors. Every day, Reese would sit by the window and watch the other children make their way to and from the school. From the second-story window, he would wave to the kids as they walked by. Very few noticed him. Those who did see him would wave back. Reese's most favorite holiday was Halloween. He enjoyed seeing the decorated homes and watching the children run amok in their costumes. Every year he would beg his mother to take him out to go trick or treat. Every year his mother would say no. Another problem was his food allergy. His diet was very, very strict. As the years passed, he began to hate his mother and looked forward to the day that he could live his life how he wanted. When he was a teenager, he became very rebellious. He was constantly arguing with his mother. She finally gave in and said he could have a Halloween party if he had any friends to invite. Reese started trying harder to contact kids as they walked by. It seemed now, though, that fewer kids even walked past the old house. Those who did almost ran past and did not look up at the house anymore. The house became quite old and looked almost abandoned. It was no use. Reese had no way to make or invite any friends. His mother saw his disappointment and felt pity for him. She told him that she would make a party for him and invite some long-distant relatives for a Halloween party. Reese couldn't believe his ears. What relatives? How come you've never met them before? She explained to him that when she met his father, when he traveled to America from Transylvania, they fell in love and were married, but he had to return to his homeland. She was unable to go with him. She received news about Reese's father had died during a hunting trip, shortly after that Reese was born. During the weeks leading up to Halloween, Reese's excitement grew. He became more daring and actually shouted out to some kids walking past the house. Unfortunately, these boys who responded were not the nicest one in the neighborhood. They shouted back at him and came up to the porch to talk to him through the window. He told them about his illness, and they said they thought that the house was abandoned. Reese told them about the party his mother was planning and asked if they would like to attend. Now these boys thought it would be fun to attend, only to see what kind of mischief they could create, especially since the others in the neighborhood thought the house was empty and haunted. The boys asked if they could bring their girlfriends along, and Reese said yes. Reese's mother was not sure about these boys coming to the party, but he begged and begged to have some real friends and regretfully allowed it. Soon family members started showing up at the old house. Reese thought it was strange that all of them showed up very late at night. They also had strange luggage with them. Instead of suitcases, they had large trunks. One of the cases even looked like a sarcophagus. It was really fantastic to meet these distant relatives and learn about his family. The only thing he found odd was they slept all day and they never had dinner together. Also, something they kept mentioning was how it was a good thing the full moon had already passed. The boys had no problem convincing the girls to come to the party. All but one was excited about it and didn't need convincing. Elizabeth wasn't so sure about going, just to see what kind of trouble they could create. She wasn't even really sure about why she hung out with this group. Actually, she did know. She is very shy, but her one friend she had liked to hang out with this group. She was reluctant about going, but decided to go along anyway. At last, the night of the party had arrived. Reese had dressed up as an 18th century count. Turns out one of his uncles had an extra suit for him to wear. Strangely thought most of his relatives were wearing suits and gowns from the 17th and 18th centuries. His friends arrived dressed as different ghouls and gals, all but Elizabeth. She was wearing a beautiful 18th century gown. She seemed to fit right in with the family. The night went on and the boys became restless. They did not like bobbing for apples or playing the other strange games that the family seemed to enjoy. So they started to explore the house. They went through a door in the back of the house and saw the trunk that looked like the sarcophagus. Thinking no one watching, they decided to pry it open. Inside was a perfectly wrapped mummy. They laughed as they started poking it and making mummy jokes. Elizabeth didn't like this and begged them to leave it alone and return to the party. "What for?" one of them asked. "It's just what we came for. Thought it would be funny to take the mummy out and scare some of the guests." Once again, Elizabeth asked them to stop, but they ignored her. She left to go find Reese. Elizabeth found Reese in the garden behind the house. It was a beautiful night with a crescent moon and shining stars. Torches were lit along the pathway leading to a bench in the back of the garden. They enjoyed talking, surrounded by late blooming flowers and cool breeze. Inside the back room, one of the boys grabbed the mummy and tore off some of the bandages. The others laughed and started pulling all the strips of cloth. They were not paying attention until one of the girls screamed. Under the bandages they could see rotting skin. It was then that the eyes of the mummy opened. They turned to run, but found themselves between a werewolf and the mummy. The mummy lifted himself from the casket and moved towards the bad teenagers. Behind the werewolf stood two vampires. "How dare you desecrate our friend?" asked one of the vampires. "It is not time for him to be awakened." One of the boys was brave enough to say, "It's just a costume. None of this is real." He walked up to the werewolf, pulled on his hair and ears. That was a bad move. It made the werewolf even angrier than he already was. Out of instinct, the wolfman slashed at the boy's throat. Blood splattered across the other teen's face. Seeing the blood splatter excited the vampires, who threw themselves at the remaining living teens. In a matter of minutes, all of the other family members were feasting on the bodies. Reese's mother was in full panic. She started screaming at the family, asking them how they could do such a thing. These were Reese's friends. Plus, he had no idea that he came from a family from vampires and werewolves. How could she explain this to him? "Perhaps it is time for him to know who he really is," said the uncle. "His father was a vampire, and he should be proud of his bloodline." "Yes, it is time," said Mother. Reese and Elizabeth walked into the house and saw the bloody room and what was left of the bodies. Reese stood in shock, and Elizabeth screamed. The mother and aunts took Elizabeth into the kitchen, and the uncles took Reese into another room. The uncles explained to Reese about his true family background and history. They told him about his father was a vampire, and his mother is a witch. Instead of going into a panic, Reese really thought about it and realized just how much everything made sense now. Elizabeth sat in the kitchen, mindlessly sipping some tea one of the aunts made for her. Reese's mother kept saying over and over again about how shy she was. It was at this time the men walked in and asked what to do about Elizabeth. She had seen too much. Reese said there was nothing to do. "Just let her go." "This can be dangerous to us," said the werewolf. "If she tells what she saw here, they would hunt us down just like animals." "Just like they did to your father," an uncle said. Reese was the one in shock now. He looked at his mother and said, "You told me he died in a hunting accident." "That is true," said one of the aunts. "They hunted him and killed him when they found his sleeping place." "That still doesn't help what we're going to do with the girl," said one of the uncles. At this point, Elizabeth looked up. "Please do not fear what I will do. I come from a long line of witches, and these infants do not shock me the way you think they do. I just couldn't believe that I would ever meet a family such as this." Reese and his mother decided to move to another town after this incident. They feared what would happen to them about the missing teens. The old house is now abandoned, and children cross the street to avoid walking past it. But it is said that the house is truly haunted, and screams sounding like teenagers can be heard every Halloween night. Well then, that was truly spooky story. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Like I said, this story was made by Mother Nud and I. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you like it or have any comments, please let me know down there in the comments. But yeah, this was very fun making. There will be more stories to come. I hope you all have a fun and safe Halloween, you know, the whole being safe thing. But anyway, I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.